Hello everyone, this is part 21 of What If Naruto Was Adopted by Kakashi, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
The first thing Anko was aware of was pain, and this wasn't the usual kind. She woke up with a sharp gasp as pain seemed to flare all over her chest. She blinked as there was nothing but darkness, but soon shapes took hold. As her eyes adjusted, she noticed she was in a cave. She could feel the stone against her back as she was sitting against it. Her legs were numb from being in the same position, so she tried to work them but hissed, feeling the pain in her chest when she tried to move her body. She tested herself out and she knew she had a few broken ribs and one of her arms was tied to her upper chest with a modified sling. She rolled a shoulder and grunted. It felt like a fractured or broken collarbone, so she wasn't going to move under her own power anytime soon. She looked around the cave. There was a small light and heat from a small stone circle with embers in it. It gave enough heat without making too much smoke, which was a good thing in such a tight area. She saw Naruto and Sasuke was laid out and next to her was Kakashi. She looked down in concern and spoke his name, but there was no reaction. She bit her lip as she was worried. He looked a little pale and there was no telling what kind of internal injuries both of them had. She used her free hand to check herself and noticed a bandage wrapped around her torso. She could make out slight first aid on Kakashi as well. Light footsteps caught her attention and she saw a tired-looking Sakura walking in. "Oh, thank God you woke up," Sakura said, seeing Anko was awake. "I was so worried." "How long?" Anko hadn't realized just how dry her throat was and was thankful when Sakura noticed this and gave her some water. "A full day at least," Sakura said, sitting down. "I had to carefully drag you all here, get the supplies and also set up a perimeter." Anko raised an eyebrow at that. She did all that by herself. It was impressive for a genin of her size to carry two adults. Although as the feeling was getting back, she noticed some scrapes on her legs and guessed the girl had dragged her part of the way. "Anko-sensei," Sakura said softly. "Was that really Orochimaru?" Anko sighed and nodded. "Yeah, it was. I just wish we could have done more to the bastard. Still have no idea what he's really here for." "Well, he said it was testing Sasuke-kun." Sakura told her about how their fight had gone and the things the man had said to them. "I also noticed something on him when I was checking out his injuries. He's got this strange mark on his neck." Anko jolted at that, making her cry out in pain. That had been a stupid move. "Tell me, does it look like a mark one have on the same area?" Sakura went to look and she was surprised to see a mark similar to what Sasuke had. "Yes, it looks almost the same. What is it?" "A curse mark," Anko said bitterly. "It's something he made up. I don't know why he put it on me, but it royally screws with me at times. Hell, during that battle it went off and I couldn't move because of the pain. I know there has to be more to it, but honestly I don't care. I just wish I could get rid of the damn thing." Sakura looked worried over at Sasuke and Anko could see the girl's mind was filled with worry and possible reasons why her teammate was targeted. Anko closed her eyes, feeling lightheaded. She wanted to stay awake, but at this rate she felt like she could pass out again. "How are the others?" Anko asked, trying to get her mind going. "Naruto hasn't woken up for some reason. I don't know what happened to him, but he doesn't have that mark on him." Anko nodded. It was a good thing that mark would most likely react negatively to the demon locked inside of him. "But Anko-sensei, something happened to Naruto," she said to him. "He gave off this killing intent. I never felt anything like it before. It was just so evil, but Naruto is like the nicest guy the first know. Plus his eyes, they changed." Anko winced, and now it wasn't because of the pain. She knew how smart the girl was, and if anyone could piece things together she might. "Look, I can't tell you what happened. It's a secret that only he can tell you, but I suggest that you drop it for now." "But Anko-sensei." "No buts," Anko said harshly to the girl. "This is important, Sakura. Look, there are just certain things that a ninja has to learn, and one of them is that you always won't be told everything. Hell, that should be a general rule actually, but Naruto is, well, let's just say special. It's a S-class secret and leave it at that, as even I can't tell you." Sakura didn't say anything, but she felt a little hurt. She had known Naruto since childhood, but he was holding a secret from them. Sure, everyone had their secrets, but this seemed something important, so why would he not tell his teammates and closest friends? Were they not as close as she thought? Anko sighed and wished Kakashi was up. She could use his help with this. How is Kakashi? Stable, at least I think so. Sakura only had basic medical abilities, but at the moment she wished she knew more. Everyone was hurt and she felt helpless not being able to do more for them. Hell, they could be dying and she wouldn't know it until it was too late. It was this moment she realized just how useful medical knowledge could be. If she knew more, she would know what to do other than just the basics. Anko gently ran her hand through his silver hair. She ached seeing him like this. She knew that as a ninja either of them could be hurt or killed, but it hadn't really registered until now. A part of her was cursing that she let herself get this close to someone. That she should have broken things off before they had gotten so serious or had never started things off. She wouldn't feel all this pain at seeing like this, and the pain thoughts of him dying on her were horrible. It felt a deep, dark aching in her chest and felt her eyes welling up with tears. She didn't cry, damn it, she never cried. But here she was starting to lose it in front of a genin. She hated showing any type of weakness. But then another part of her couldn't stop her feelings for Kakashi. He saw past the surface and saw what was under it with her. She felt a connection with him and she felt less lonely in life ever since she got mixed up with him and Naruto. Before she had been so alone, sure she had a few friends, but with them she felt like she had the closest thing to family she had. She looked over at Naruto and she even felt feelings for the boy. She liked him, he was just fun to be around and life just seemed better. The same with Kakashi, and ever since they started to date she had never felt so happy before. But there was a double edge to forming bonds and she was feeling those now. Anko-sensei, will help be coming? Sakura asked her. Anko thought about it, should be. Myself and Kakashi haven't reported in, so they'll be combing the woods for us. But it's a big place and they'll be looking for Orochimaru, meaning they'll be taking things carefully. There was a moment of silence before Sakura brought up something else that she had the time to think about. She had heard enough from the fight to learn a few things and she had to ask. Anko-sensei, was it true that he used to be your teacher? Anko sighed, resting her head against the cold rock wall. Yes, it was a long time ago. Back when I was around your age, I think, he was my sensei. Back then no one thought he was really a monster. Hell, he was up for Hokage until the fourth was picked over him. I remember him being very pissed at that. I think that's when things really started to go wrong. He was acting strange and then one day he told me we were leaving for a special training trip. I don't remember much else. Hell, it took me years just to get this much of my memories back. He put that curse seal on me and most of my memories of him are just gone. I was wandering around a beach when Konoha Anbu found me. Sakura didn't say anything else. She never knew, plus she could see the pain and anger in the older woman when she was talking about it. She could tell that Anko had been hurt by the experience more than she might let on. So she said nothing. There really wasn't anything she could say. Suddenly a loud crash was heard. Someone's tripped one of my traps, Sakura said silently. Made traps, huh? Anko always did like that. She was wondering if the girl picked up anything from Naruto. If she had any brains she would have. That kid was a genius with traps. Another loud sound was heard as well as a breaking sound. Alright, that's enough. A voice came out and Sakura recognized it was one of the sound genin. We know you're in there. Now come out and bring out the Uchiha or we'll just start a fire and burn you out. Looks like they mean business. Anko winced as she tried to get up but failed again. If they'll listen to me I can get involved and tell them to leave your team alone. Really? Sakura said hopefully, then noticed the serious look on Anko's face. What's the price? Your team will have to be disqualified. We can't show favoritism. If we do, then that team must be taken out of the exam with no appeal no matter the circumstances. It's one of the ground rules that all the villages agreed to when the Chunin exams were first created. It was to ensure fair play and that no village gave their own genins an unfair advantage. Sakura thought about it. Sure, the best thing was to let them be taken out of the exam, but the truth was she and her teammates wanted this. She wanted to prove to everyone and to herself that she was strong. She remembered being picked on as a child and how others came to help her. She remembered how Naruto and Sasuke were always so much stronger, how she felt like she was holding them back at times. She didn't want to be the one to cause them to come all this way only to fail. She didn't want to fail either. Despite it all, she needed to prove at least to herself how strong she was, that she wouldn't be bullied anymore and she could stand on her own 2 feet. Besides, she got a feeling that even if Anko told them to leave, they wouldn't. Something just told her that they were coming for them no matter what. I can't let you do that, Sakura said as she stood up. If I don't come back, then do what you can to save them. Anko looked at her and gave a small laugh. Look at you, so young and yet want to grow up so fast and be a real ninja. I am a ninja, Sakura said facing the opening. I think the first time I killed was when I took my first steps. I can't let him down and I need to face things like this. I can't just quit and leave when things get tough no matter how it seems. Anko grinned. Well, you picked up some interesting things. I had good teachers. Sakura gave her a small smile before going outside. Sakura came out to see that several of her traps had been sprung. She had spent a long time preparing the area, but so far the sound team was still standing. It was a shame. She had hoped for at least one of them down. Where's the Uchiha? Kin, the female on the team, demanded. Why do you want him for? Sakura asked, trying to stall for a little time as she tried to take stock of things. There were 3 of them, and she noticed which traps had and hadn't been tripped. We're here to see if he really is worthy, Dosu, the one wrapped up in bandages, said. Sakura's eyes widened a bit at that. Are they working with Orochimaru? It can't be coincidence that he said something about testing Sasuke-kun and now they show up. But they're from the Sound Village and he was disguised as a grass female ninja. Is he disguised from someone from their village giving orders, or does he work for that new village? There were just too many unanswered questions. Why did Orochimaru give him that curse mark? Why did he risk so much into coming back to the village? Was there a link between him and the Sound, or was he just using this team? Are you 3 working for Orochimaru? She asked, hoping to answer a few things. The others shared a look and then looked at the girl. Looks like we can't let her live no matter what if she asked that. Kin said as she came at Sakura. Sakura's eyes widened as she prepared for a fight. It looked like the others weren't going to step in. Well, that worked out well for her. She doubted she could take on all 3 anyway. The girl with the long brown hair came at Sakura and threw several kunai. Sakura did a simple replacement and a log took her place. Kin searched around as several versions of Sakura appeared. Clones. Please, don't you know anything more than just simple academy crap? Kin looked to find the real one, as the clones wouldn't make a sound as they hit the ground. But none of them were hitting the ground. Kin, what the hell are you doing? She's right there. Dosu yelled out. Kin turned, wondering what he was talking about, when a metallic piece of metal hit her face. Because her head had been turned, it had been a glancing shot, but it still hurt as Kin jumped back. She had been hit by nothing, or at least she thought it was nothing. Kai. Kin yelled out as she cancelled the genjutsu that the girl had used. Apparently the whole deal had been a basic illusion. She must have done it when she had did the replacement, but now she could see the other girl. Kin was pissed that she fell for that trick, so now she was going to use a trick of her own as she pulled out her special senbon's needles with bells attached to them. If this girl likes genjutsu, then she'll love this technique, although unlike most you can't cancel out of this. Kin threw several senbons with small bells attacked at Sakura's direction, but never actually hitting her. For a moment Sakura was wondering if the sound girl had missed, then she heard the ringing of the bells and suddenly the world was twisting. She was fighting to just keep her balance now as Kin came at her and slammed a punch into her face. She felt the blow being followed up by a kick and more blows, but she had so much vertigo she didn't know she hit the ground until she felt it slam into her body. The world was still twisting as Sakura tried to desperately think of what was going on. Things were okay until the bells were ringing. How pathetic, Kin sneered at Sakura. Did you honestly think you could be a ninja? I mean, bright pink hair. You look too much like a girly girl to be in this. Sakura wasn't really listening as her mind was trying to think what was going on. The sound of the bells had to be the key as this started with them. Knowing genjutsu, she knew she had been in one, and the sound of the bells had to be the trigger. The only problem was that she would have to destroy the bells to use a release, because the bells constantly rang, they kept placing her in it. Unless she could block out the sound, a plan started to form as she just hoped she could reach inside her pouch. You know, from an ugly girl like you I can see why you wouldn't care about looks, Sakura said to get the other girl angry, and it worked. She felt a kick to her stomach as Kin gripped her by her short hair up. What did you say to me, Pinky? Kin angrily gripped her hair even harder. Sakura winced but didn't give up. She reached into her pouch and slipped a smoke bomb out. Kin saw the explosion and felt the girl jerk away as the sound genin jumped clear. She looked to see she had strands of the other girl's hair in her hand and threw them aside. That won't help you, Kin said through the smoke screen. She waited until the smoke cleared and the girl was on her hands and knees. Kin had no idea what foolish idea the other girl had. It wasn't like she could have gotten far with her bells messing with her inner ear with their sound. But at any rate it was time to end this. She drew out a kunai getting ready to kill the pink-haired genin. It was a total surprise when Sakura suddenly struck out with her tonfus when Kin was too close to dodge. The first blow hit the girl's wrist holding the kunai. Kin cried out in shock and pain as her wrist was smashed by the metal weapon as she dropped her own weapon. Sakura didn't stop though, she used her momentum to twist and with her other weapon hit the knee of the other girl, dislocating it with a sickening sound. Kin dropped to the forest floor in pain as she was unable to stand. How are you getting through my bells? Kin cried out seeing Sakura standing without any problems. Sakura drew out several shurikens and threw them at the bells, then turned to Kin and pulled out an earplug that had been in one of her ears. Sorry, I didn't hear that. Kin's eyes widened. Now she knew why the girl had used a smoke bomb. It was to cover the fact she put in earplugs. With her ears sealed, her bell's effect would have been practically nothing now. She felt herself a fool for falling for this. If Lord Orochimaru had seen this, he would have been so disappointed in her. Her two teammates came up to her and she felt shame in being defeated by this pink-haired girl. I guess I'm lucky that Naruto talks in his sleep, Sakura thought to herself. Every member of Team 7 had their own earplugs after the first mission, nighttime mission with Naruto. But now I have the other two. I know the one in the bandages has something with that arm thing of his, but I'm not sure exactly what it does. The other guy with the wind tunnel arms I need to be careful with. Well, looks like this girl is tougher than she looked, Dosu said. Like that's tough, Zaku said flexing his hands. But let's see how she handles both of us. Nearby, not far away, Team 8 had been making their way through the woods. So far they had been lucky, they managed to get both scrolls as well as picked up an extra just in case. That had been Shino's idea in case they were beaten and they could trade the spare and still have both of them. They also were lucky to have escaped from the Suna team without being caught. They had never seen someone die like that before and it had shaken them a little. They were over it now, but they all agreed that if they even got an idea that the Suna team was close by, they would bolt and keep as far away as possible. They had been traveling in random patterns in the woods so no one could guess which direction they were heading. They were taking a small break at the moment. Oh man, I'm hungry. I'll be happy when we get out of this place and get some real food. Kiba muttered to himself. So far they had to hunt down their food, and although they knew the basic survival training and what to and not to eat, that didn't make eating things like snakes, or some bird they got taste any better. Hinata, can you scout ahead for us? Shino asked her. Hinata nodded her head and activated her eyes. The world turned black and white as she scanned the area. She could notice several animals but so far no people. Then she came across what looked like a large battle had taken place. She focused on that area in case whoever did it was still there. She saw several figures fighting she wasn't familiar with, but she knew the other figure. It was Sakura and she was fighting against 3 people. That didn't make sense. Where were her teammates? She quickly scanned around and found a small cave. There was Kakashi, but his chakra was nearly gone. There was also Anko, and there laying on the ground was Sasuke and Naruto. Both weren't moving and she suddenly knew that something was very wrong. Hinata, what's wrong? Shino asked, seeing the look on her face. She quickly explained what she saw to them. We have to go help them, she said, filled with worry. Well, it's not like we can leave them like that. Even if we are in this, they're still our friends, Kiba said to Shino. The bug user thought about it. Logically they shouldn't try as it would ruin their chances for advancement, but the non-logical part of him told him that was wrong. He remembered how Naruto came to him as a child, the first boy to actually talk to him and made friends with. Lead the way, Shino said as they quickly made their way to the area. They quickly made their way to the combat area. By the time they arrived, Sakura was having a hard time just standing. She had been forced to fight against the 2 opponents, but it was hard to keep herself from getting killed. Sakura had a few injuries and she was tired, but she was still fighting. She wouldn't give up because so much was riding on her and she didn't want to let her friends and teammates down, but she was nearing her limit. Dosu, the mummy-looking boy, jumped at her with a fist, drawn back, seeing an opening in Sakura's defense. But before he connected, a kick to his ribs sent him flying off in another direction. Given that half his face was covered in bandages, the attack had come at his blind side. He looked to see a boy with a dog where he had been. Soon Hinata and Shino joined Kiba to face off against the sound team. Guys, Sakura said, relieved to see them all. Wow, you look like crap, Sakura. Kiba grinned as the pink-haired girl scowled at him. Why don't you take a rest? Looks like you deserve it. Looks like we got us some leaf ninja backup, Zaku said as he extended his hands as the wind tunnels in his arms sent a gush of wind out. Team 8 hadn't expected such an attack as they were blown back by it. Dosu took this to run closer, and when his teammate stopped his attack he used the device on his arm. It was a huge sonic weapon that could do a few things. One of them was the mess with the inner ear, even blowing it if he used it right enough. He thrust his fist forward and sent his chakra into the device. Although his blow was nowhere near any of them, Team 8 felt the attack, more so with Kiba and Akamaru from their sensitive hearing. With them unable to keep their balance, he capitalized on it and with 3 swift attacks hit each member of the team. Shino felt that sonic attack with even his bugs. He remembered how they felt when this boy had attacked that other one with the cards before the first exam. Now that he was closer, he saw that his attacks were sonic-based. Against something like that they didn't have much of a defense. But his mind came up with a plan as the boy seemed to need to see where to aim his sonic attacks. Blindside, now. Shino said the code word for something that their team came up with. As one each of them threw out a smoke bomb. The entire area was covered in smoke now. Usually both parties would be blind, but this was where Team 8 was unique. Kurenai had come up with this idea seeing their strengths. Shino couldn't move, but his bugs would be able to move through the smoke somewhat as their senses were more powerful. Kiba and Akamaru could smell through the smoke, and Hinata with her eyes would be able to see through it. Dosu was blinded and was looking around as he couldn't find the other team. Then he felt a palm slam into his chest, then he was hit again, and again, and again. He was being hit an impossible amount of times as one more hit caused him to fall onto his back. Zaku! Dosu yelled out and the wind started up again as it cleared the smoke. Dosu could see that on her knees trying to stand in the wind was the little girl of that new team. She looked up and he saw the eyes and the veins showing, the telltale sign of a Hyuga. Dosu had heard of that clan, and as he tried to move he could feel that his body was struggling to move. Hinata had used her family fighting style to seal off several of his chakra paths. She hadn't gotten them all, but she had sealed enough to make it hard for him to move properly. It would give them time to at least avoid his sonic attacks from now on, but now they had to deal with the other one. Kiba and Akamaru tried to jump at him, but the wind was too strong and actually blew them away in mid-air. Shino tried his insects, but the wind was forcing him back, making him trying to concentrate on a new battle plan. He couldn't use his bugs en masse because they were too easily seen. He sensed a few had managed to sneak by and were trying to attack the boy. It wasn't much, but maybe he could slowly build on their numbers. Before he got that far, that other boy with the sonic weapon on his arm came at him again, only more slowly, so Shino was able to avoid it. However, with the boy with the wind it was going to be difficult in getting around him, plus the girl seemed to be using a tree to get back up. They needed to take that one boy out, but so far he couldn't see a way around him yet. Turns out he didn't have to, he felt it before he saw it. There was this dark chakra building up in the area that was disturbing for his bugs, and suddenly the one sound Genin cried out in pain. From behind, Sasuke Uchiha had woken up. He had seen Sakura injured and the others fighting the sound team, so it wasn't hard to figure out what was going on. Also, something was strange when he woke up. He felt powerful, more powerful than ever before. His veins felt like they were red hot. Currently he had gripped the wrists of the boy with some kind of wind power in his hands and pulled the arm painfully back as he placed a foot on the spine of the person. He grinned down at the boy, who managed to turn his head around enough to see him. "Now then, what's this with you attacking my teammate over there?" Sasuke said in a dark tone. Sasuke wasn't sure why he felt so good, but he did, and the feeling of power he had was the most intense thing he had ever felt. He felt totally invincible, like nothing could stop him. He saw how Sakura looked banged up. She had small cuts here and there, slight bruising, but nothing too serious at least. He noticed Naruto's girlfriend and her team as well was here. Well, he was glad that they didn't finish off this sound team. The girl looked like she could barely stand. The other guy looked okay, although weaker than normal. The boy who he was currently breaking his arms off, well, he wasn't doing too good obviously. Sasuke grinned as he felt the boy's arms start to give, The sound genin was begging and pleading with him, but honestly, Sasuke didn't really care. This team needed to be taught a lesson, and he would teach them all the true meaning of pain. He gave a small chuckle as he pulled on one arm harshly. There was a sickening sound as the boy screamed. So I take it your arms are the key to your power, huh? Sasuke said to him. Let's see what you're like when I take away that so-called power of yours. Black markings started to crawl into existence onto his body. They didn't stop until they covered about half of his body, and Sasuke felt more power at this moment. He was about to snap the other arm, and then he would really go to work on the boy, that is, until he felt someone grabbing him. He was about to attack, thinking one of the sound genins had gotten behind him when he heard a familiar voice. Stop this, Sasuke-kun, Sakura told him. This isn't you. This is Orochimaru's curse mark talking. Please don't let it do this to you. Sakura had never seen Sasuke like this. She knew this wasn't him. She could feel the evil power coming off of him, as the others did, she bet. She felt her young heart breaking seeing the power of Orochimaru at work, how it twisted a person up inside. She didn't want him like this. She wanted him back to his normal self. If he kept this up, would he never return to normal, or would this be him from now on? She could literally feel the dark energy by being so close to him, and it made her feel sick inside. Please, just stop. You don't have to do this, she whispered to him. Something deep inside was touched by that. Sasuke paused as he felt conflicted. His hands loosened enough for the sound genin to slip out and slowly crawl away. Knock him out if he can't get it under control. Anko had yelled out at everyone. She had seen Sasuke run out of the cave, but it had taken her a while to move her body out into the open. She was already in a lot of pain from forcing herself to move, but she knew better than most what that curse mark could do. When she had seen the Uchiha run out like that, she had forced herself to get out from the cave. She hurt like hell, but no one knew what to do better than her. Sasuke-kun, please. Sakura begged him one last time. Sasuke seemed to pause as he let the sound genin go. Something deep inside of him was fighting to the surface. Was this wrong? If so, then why did it feel so good? Why was she trying to get him to stop? They hurt her, hadn't they? So then why was she stopping him from killing them all? Actually, he wanted to do more than just kill them. He wanted to pull them apart. Like pulling the wings off flies, they were nothing to him, they were beneath him. Why should you care, after what they did? He asked her. They should all die. That's not you talking, she told him, hugging him closer, hoping that he would break free. Sakura, do it now, Anko yelled out. Sakura didn't want to hurt her teammate, but it didn't look like he was going to pull himself out of this. I'm sorry, she whispered out as she moved her body as fast she could. She wouldn't get a second chance, and Sakura knew she had to take advantage of him being distracted. She pulled back slightly and with her tonfa, slammed the small end into the back of his head. There was a thunk sound as it hit, his body jerked and he fell face forward. She flinched when he hit as she had tried to catch him, but she had missed. I hope he's not going to be angry when he wakes up, Sakura said to herself. When it was all over, everyone looked at the fallen Uchiha, surprised at what had happened. For a moment no one said anything, the whole thing had been just so surreal. Shino then noticed that the sound team was reforming and sent his bugs to stop them. The black insects swarmed around the three of them. I think you should stay right there for now, Shino told them. So what do we do with them? Kiba asked, seeing that the other team was banged up. Look, if you let us go we'll give you a scroll, Dosu said as he held up one of the scrolls. We don't want any more trouble. What do you think? Kiba asked Shino. We can't kill them, Shino said as he doubted any of them could kill in cold blood. It wasn't in their nature to pick on the weak either. They couldn't hold them prisoner as that would be too troubling, plus with all the other teams out there impractical. Team 7 still had problems of their own as well. Very well, leave it behind and go. But we'll be watching you. If you try to double back to his area then we won't accept any surrender. The sound team wordlessly placed the scroll on the ground as they left as best they could. Shino walked over and took up the scroll. It wasn't like they needed it, but now they had a backup for both scrolls, it would seem. Hinata moved over to where Sakura was. She saw the other girl was taking care of Sasuke. Sakura, how is he? He'll be okay, but he'll have a major headache when he wakes up, she said. What about Naruto-kun? He's still inside the cave there. Help Anko-sensei while I get Sasuke-kun in there, will you? Hinata nodded as she eagerly went to the cave. Although Anko complained about being helped back into a sitting position beside Kakashi, she knew that Hinata was only helping. After that, the Hyuga girl sat next to Naruto as she gently stroked his blonde hair. She bit her lips seeing him looking like this. It brought back memories of when he had been put in the hospital. She had thought that she had died that time and she was very worried. Naruto-kun, Hinata said softly. She lost track of time and noticed that Anko was smirking watching the two of them. Please wake up. I don't want to lose you, not now. Why, you've always been there, you've been one of the greatest joys in my life. You were my first friend and my first love. Please be okay, I can't lose another person I love. I'm not strong enough to go through that again. She felt the tears starting to spill out and she laid down on his body, crying silently into his chest. She gripped his black vest as her tears stained the orange shirt under it. It wasn't fair. For so long she had cared for him and then she fell in love with him. Now after all these years they were finally together, it was just cruel to lose him at this point. Then she felt a hand on her head. Please don't cry, Hinata-chan, a tired voice said. Hinata's head came up suddenly as she looked surprised to see Naruto looking at her. Naruto-kun. She quickly hugged him tightly as he was surprised by this, also she was hugging him pretty tightly too. Anko could only chuckle as she watched the two but noticed that Kakashi moved. She was hopeful that he was starting to wake up and so she shook him gently. He groaned, which was a good sign as he hadn't been responsive until now. Hey Kakashi, time to wake up, she said softly. Kakashi slowly opened his uncovered eye. The world was dark and out of focus for him. He felt like hell and he could barely even move his body. It felt like someone was shaking him. A moment later he thought he heard voices. Kakashi, come on and wake up. Anko, he asked as he felt a female hand on his face. He looked up and the world was slowly getting back into focus. It was dark but he could start to make out Anko's features. She looked like hell but then again, that's how he felt. Hey there, she said softly to him. How long was I out for? More than a day at least. You had me really worried, you know that. She told him a little harshly. She hated how scared she had been. Sorry, Kakashi said after a bit. He asked for any water as his mouth was really dry. Thankfully Sakura had left one next to her and she gently poured it into his mouth. Hinata was too busy still clinging to Naruto to notice and the others weren't in here, so she could pull his mask without him worrying. She put it back up as he thanked her. After that they took the time to check his injuries. As far as he could tell he had some minor ones, nothing fatal but the chakra exhaustion was the worst of it. How are the others? Kakashi asked her. Well, Naruto seems okay, even with his own personal nurse it seems. Anko smirked as Hinata fussed over him. Sakura got a little banged up but Sasuke, he got a curse mark put on him. Kakashi didn't like that one bit. He knew from Anko what those things were like. He would have to deal with that when the time came. Outside the cave, Sakura had put Sasuke's head on a makeshift pillow from spare clothing from one of their backpacks. She was worried about how things would go with him. Team 8 was also wondering how long to wait around. Although they were friends, this was still a competition and they had done a lot for Team 7. They couldn't leave them like this, but they made a decision that when Naruto and Sasuke were back up they would leave. It was just practical because after 3 days they had to make it to the tower by the 5th day. So they had a day and a half to get to the tower or else they wouldn't advance. It was at this time that the Anbu had finally found them. For a day they had been searching the forest, which wasn't easy. They had to use stealth to try and track down Orochimaru and they had also run into several summoned snakes. Apparently the ex-Leaf Ninja had set a few loose in the forest for a laugh or to just keep them busy. But 4 of them had found the battle area where Kakashi and Anko had fought and followed the trail. As the 4 landed they took stock of the area. So far only Genins were here, 2 looking a little worse for wear. Oh, you finally found us. Sakura felt a bit better now. Anko and Kakashi-sensei are in the cave. An Anbu wearing a bear mask stepped forward. They're in the cave. He had reports that they went off in search of Orochimaru. Yes, they fought him. In fact he was after Sasuke-kun, but they're both injured. She told him. Bear looked to the others and nodded his head to them. They would look after the ninja. He got a special smoke bomb ready. It would give a large color of smoke to alert others of their position. He picked out a green one. This would mean urgent medial help was needed. About time you guys showed up. What the hell took so long? Anko's voice was heard as she yelled out in sudden pain. Damn it. Don't touch it like that. Bear looked to the girl. This could take a bit. Maybe you can fill me in so I can tell the Hokage what happened here. After Sakura told him everything, they had managed to get Anko and Kakashi out of the cave. Sakura was happy to see that Naruto was back up as well, only a bit confused on what was going on. He also looked pretty worried for his dad as well. One of the Anbu seemed to have medical training and did her best for the two of them. Anko felt a bit better as her collarbone was knitted back together a bit, although it was only a patch job, at least it didn't hurt as bad now. Kakashi was another matter. They gave him a chakra bill to help him restore his reserves, but he needed rest. Also, the hit to the head he had was going to have to be looked at as well. It was around this time that Sasuke was waking up. Everyone was pretty nervous at this because they weren't sure what to expect. Sasuke-kun, are you okay? Sakura asked attentively, although she kept one hand gripped to her weapon just in case. I think so, the boy said as he went to feel a bump to his head. What had hit him? He kind of remembered waking up, a sense of great power. He remembered breaking the arm of one of the sound team and about to do the same to the other arm. He also remembered a little of how much he had been enjoying it, which was wrong. He never enjoyed hurting people, he always tried to stay detached from feeling in battle. He remembered Sakura trying to calm him down, then Anko yelling out something and then, "Did you knock me out?" Sasuke asked her. Sakura looked away from him. "Yes, I'm sorry, but you were out of control and Anko-sensei said that if you didn't get under control, that I had to do it. I'm really sorry." Sakura still couldn't believe she had just done that to him, her major crush, and what did she do? Slam a metal tonfa into his skull. Sasuke was silent a moment before standing up. "It's okay." "What?" She looked up in surprise. "You did what needed to be done," Sasuke told her as her turn to look at the scene around him. "You did your duty as a ninja." Sakura wasn't sure, but this was the closest he had ever gotten to complimenting her. Sasuke meanwhile was just avoiding looking at her because he was embarrassed. Had he really been that much out of control to be knocked out? He prided himself on his control, but to lose it so easily made him feel disgusted with himself for being so weak-willed. On top of that, he had to be knocked out. He hoped that no one would know of that part at least. As Team 8 left, they went on their own way to the tower. Now that the mandatory 3 days were up, they could start to move towards the tower. As they jumped through the trees, Shino noticed something. He had the extra scrolls in his backpack, but it felt lighter for him. At their first rest stop, he checked the bag and found that their old spare was gone. He looked at the bag, but there didn't seem to be any hole in it. "What is it?" Kiba asked him. "I lost one of the extra scrolls," he said, making sure it wasn't there. "Well, it's not like we needed 2 extra anyway, but I wonder when you lost it," Kiba asked out loud. They didn't notice the slight smile on Hinata's face at that moment. Back with Team 7 as they were packing up, Naruto noticed something poking out of his bag. He pulled it out and it was one of the scrolls. At first he thought it was theirs, but Sakura was supposed to have had it. Then he noticed it wasn't the same scroll. This was another one. In fact, it was the one they needed. At first he was wondering how in the world that had happened, but he suddenly smiled. He remembered that Team 8 mentioned something about having 2 extra ones, and that Hinata had been fixing his bag for him. "Okay, I really need to pay her back for this," Naruto thought as he placed the gift his girlfriend left for him. Maybe it wasn't exactly honorable, but hell, the first part of the exam had been how good to cheat. Plus anything goes in this, and given they were attacked by a rogue criminal ninja, well, it all evened out. "Man, I can't wait to show them this." Naruto grinned, and then he noticed something strange. He was feeling a little more tired than he should. Although he just woke up, Naruto still felt not all there, which was odd. He would always bounce back, since he knew now why he healed so fast, so why did it seem like it wasn't working now? He even noticed that he still had a slight cut on his arm. It was scabbed over and would heal, but the point was, that should have healed already. He remembered that guy doing something to his stomach. The image of that mark on Sasuke's neck came into his mind. He took a quick look around, and when he was sure no one was looking, pulled up his shirt. There were no markings, but what if Orochimaru had done something to damage the seal there? Naruto was getting a little more worried. If the fox ever got out, it would hurt everything he cared for. He molded some chakra and the seal showed up. "Okay, everything looks okay. Wait, what the hell? Were those there before?" Naruto thought he noticed something off about the seal. There were some weird-looking marks that he was sure weren't there before. He hoped his dad was okay by the time they hit the tower because he would have to ask him to take a look at this. Minus 24 hours later. Team 7 had half a day left before they had to reach the tower. They were already making a mad dash for it. They had gotten a slow start as they were still recovering from that fight with Orochimaru. It also didn't help that they had to fend off against other teams along the way. The closer they got to the tower, the more teams seemed to be around the area. It wasn't easy, in fact it was hard. Naruto for some reason was having trouble with his ninjutsu. His shadow clones were coming out a lot less in number and seemed weaker for some reason. He also couldn't get a decent wind technique going either. Sasuke was having similar problems. He once tried to do a grand fireball and had to stop in the middle of it. The curse mark on his neck had flared up, giving him pain. Sakura was the only one not handicapped, but her own stamina was running low from having to pull the extra weight. Now they were just on the edge of the forest. The tower was in view, but there was only one problem. There was a large open space between the forest and the tower, the perfect place to set up an ambush. Great, so now what do we do? Sasuke asked, looking over the large area. It looked too easy for someone to just jump out at them. Naruto thought about it, but he suddenly got an idea. He remembered once when he tried to get past some bored Chunin on guard duty for a prank once. He got a grin on his face as the idea took shape. Well, I have an idea, we just walk right up to the place. What the hell are you thinking? Sasuke asked him, annoyed. Just watch. Naruto made a cross and there were two clones now standing with him. Although, Naruto looked disappointed for some reason. What the hell? I was going for 4 not 2. Don't look at us, one of the clones said. Not our fault. The other finished. Fine, just do what I planned on doing, Naruto said, annoyed as the clones pulled a henge. Now there stood 2 ANBUs like the ones they had just met. See, we walk up looking like prisoners. If anyone stops us, then one of these guys will tell them to get lost or else they'll be kicked out of the exam. Sakura blinked. It wasn't bad for a plan. But what could we have done to get the Anbu after us? I hadn't thought that far ahead. Sasuke sighed. How about that we were caught looking into the scrolls? Since we're not supposed to, it's the only thing that could actually get us into trouble. Oh, that makes sense, Naruto said as they got ready. They gave all their weapons to the Anbu agents and they were lightly tied with their hands behind their backs. Just in case this didn't work, their hands could easily come out of the ropes. With a moment to take a mental breath, they all set out. They walked instead of ran, because that would seem very suspicious. They also tried to look the part of captives. Sakura kept her head down as if in shame, Sasuke looked like he wanted to kill someone, and Naruto looked like he was trying to get his hands free, but doing a horrible job of it. They could almost feel eyes on them, as they traveled, but they kept on going. They were about halfway there when they started to think this could work. But it was when they were nearly there when they heard someone coming up behind them. They saw what looked like a Leaf Genin team. Either they were on their way to the tower or they were trying to see if Team 7 was easy pickings. Unless you Genins have a reason to be here, either get to the tower or get a scroll, one of the Anbu said in a deep voice. Hey, we were just wondering what's going on, the middle boy in the group asked. We were just curious. I mean, why are you taking them away? They opened up the scroll, so they're being escorted to the tower for punishment. One of Fakes stated. Whoa, that's what happens when you open them up. A boy with spiky hair asked, surprised. I didn't think it was that serious. Well, it is, the Anbu said, getting a little frustrated. Now get going or we'll report your team pestering us. They were about to leave, but the final member of the group paused as he grabbed his two friends. Hold on, something's off. How come they're both wearing the same mask? I thought Anbu had to wear different ones. Naruto's eyes widened as he looked. Both were wearing a bear mask. He mentally slapped himself in the head for forgetting that. Both clones must have had the same idea and no one had bothered to check. Well, he lost his and that's my spare, one of the Anbu said, feeling a little nervous now. Something is fishy here, one of the boys said as he started to take a closer look. These Anbu were looking a little nervous, plus why would looking into the scrolls be that bad? Chunins or that crazy woman with the jacket he could see overseeing the exam, but being from this village it was just too odd for the special ops to be involved. Maybe a team from another village wouldn't notice, but being here they knew the kinds of things Anbu was said to do. Crap, this is bad, Sasuke remarked silently to his friends. What now? Sakura asked in a similar hushed tone. I say we make a break for it, Naruto said, slipping his hands a bit more free. My clones can slow them down, but I got one smoke bomb left as well. Alright, but we need our equipment back from him too, Sasuke told him, and the masked blonde nodded. Look, we don't have to answer to a bunch of genins. One of Naruto's clones yelled out, trying to cow the boys. So far, it didn't seem to work. That's when Naruto slipped his hand out and reached for one of the few pieces of equipment he could hide in his jacket. They didn't give all their weapons away, just the visible ones. Throw us the gear and stop them, Naruto yelled out as he threw the smoke bomb into the genin team. One of his Anbu clones tossed the backpack containing the gear and Team 7 was off. They ran as fast as they could. Naruto looked in for anything to help as he heard the sounds of fighting. His clones wouldn't last long, one good hit and they were toast. Yes, Naruto had found a kunai with an explosive tag already on it. It must have been Sakura's, as he didn't have any ready like this, plus it looked like it was done by textbook standards. He threw it behind him, not even looking as he set it off. There was an explosion with some yelling, but they didn't stop running. Naruto couldn't hear anything other than his heart pounding and his breathing, but he just stayed focused ahead as he ran on. The others did the same, and soon they saw an open door at the base of the tower and ran inside. They didn't even stop until they were halfway inside the room. Once inside, they all breathed a sigh of relief. They were panting for air as they looked behind them. It seemed that the genin team wasn't or wouldn't follow them into the tower. Maybe they didn't have both scrolls and didn't want to run the risk of being kicked out of the exam. Well, whatever the reason, Team 7 was finally in the tower and they were glad for it. Now they were in a huge chamber with two huge phrases written on the wall ahead of them. It sounded like a riddle to Naruto, something about heaven and earth for some reason. If qualities of heave are your desire, then acquire wisdom to take your mind higher. If earth qualities are what you lack, then train your body and prepare to attack. When heaven and earth are open together, then the perilous path will be righteous forever. So, what's this supposed to mean? Naruto asked, reading it over again. He hated riddles, they made no sense to him. I mean, other than we have scrolls called heaven and earth, what does it mean? Sakura thought it through. I think it's something like they mean different things. Heaven and earth seem to be associated with the mind and body. A ninja must train his body and mind to act as one, Naruto suddenly said, catching everyone's attention and surprised look. One of the things my dad taught me. So then you need both, like how we need both scrolls, Sasuke said. He looked at the two scrolls they had. When heaven and earth are open together, huh? I guess we can open them both up, Naruto said as he took one and Sakura took the other. They weren't sure what would happen, after all they weren't supposed to open it. He did and was left a little confused at first. It looked like a seal at first, but he was unfamiliar with this type. Hey, what kind of seal is this? All it says is, man, on it. Then both started to smoke. Both genins threw the scrolls away thinking they might have screwed up. There a pillar of smoke, as it cleared, a form seemed to be inside of it. Then when the smoke cleared, they were greeted by a very familiar sight. Hey there, Iruka said, smiling at them. For a moment there I wasn't sure you'd make it, but congratulations on passing the second exam. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.